Hello everybody, my name is Bill Purdy. You've seen the name of my YouTube site, which is Fairwinds Photography. I'm a photographer. I do have another 9-to-5 job, but this channel is dedicated to specifically my photography. I had put up some information regarding my recent VSG surgery, vertical sleeve gastrectomy. What I wanted to do was follow up with that and let everyone know how I was doing here at day 9 post-surgery. So stay tuned, let's take a look. Okay everybody, so I am at day 9 after having my surgery. It has been an interesting progression since being admitted into the hospital, having the surgery, and then coming home. I should retract a little bit and go all the way back to, I'll try to quickly cover the pre-op, meaning the months leading to this. It was actually about a year and a half that I was attempting to get this surgery. I'm going to go through this quickly, by the way. So I showed up at the doctor. I weighed a certain amount. I weighed 291. I followed all the instructions that I needed to do, which was a psychology, 4 different sessions with a psychiatrist, and then 4 sessions with a nutritionist. That happened during the same week, so it was a 4-week total. That was complete. I went back to the doctor to check in with him and schedule the surgery. In that 4 weeks since I had originally checked in until I went back to see him again, I had gained a significant amount of weight. I went up to approximately 305 pounds. And he looked at me and point blank just shrugged his shoulders and said, I'm not even going to attempt to submit this to your insurance because of the fact that you've put on so much weight. They want to see you losing weight, not gaining weight. So long story short, surgery wasn't going to happen. So talked to my primary care physician, went on Zepbound, went through the increments of climbing and dosages with that. 2 milligrams, 2.5 milligrams, 5 milligrams, 7.5 milligrams. Worked our way all the way up to 12.5 milligrams. Worked fairly well. I did lose approximately 50 pounds. I dropped down to about 255. I was fluctuating between 255 and 260. Went back to see my surgeon and showed him. He was thumbs up on it. He said, let's do this, let's schedule it. Scheduled the surgery. The day was approaching. The day before, actually the evening before I was scheduled to have the surgery, I tested positive for COVID. Remember, this is a year and a half going at this, and at this point I was, frustrated. Postponed it for 3 weeks, had the surgery. Okay, so I had dropped. I weighed myself the morning of going into surgery. I weighed 260 pounds. And that was fine, no problems, and went in, had the surgery. That was a debacle all in itself with the organization of the hospital and the 12 hours that I spent in pre-op and post-op for a 1-hour surgery. Let's talk pain. I woke up from the surgery a little disoriented. I was still on the operating table and could not breathe. Tried to tell whoever was around me that I couldn't breathe, couldn't talk. I was just coming out of general anesthesia and all of a sudden felt my head tilted back and felt all the intubation tubes getting pulled out of my throat. And suddenly, poof, I was able to get a nice full breath of air. So I don't know what happened there. They may have woken me up or weren't expecting me to wake up, or had turned off the intubation. But for a breath or two there, I couldn't get any air. I then went back to sleep, woke up in recovery, I would say, well, I don't know how much longer later, but you know, usual recovery time coming out of general. it wasn't too bad. I woke up and I felt okay. I felt like I had surgery. You know, I could feel that something was different with my belly. Um, I noticed that obviously I was still very tired and groggy from the general anesthesia. Um, and I was actually kind of comfortable. And they had given me some pain meds in the operating room, and they told me that I'd, be pretty heavily medicated coming out of it. And the recovering nurse asked me to move up in my bed a little bit. So I attempted to lean forward just to lift my head up, and that's when I felt the actual discomfort in the abdomen. It felt like, if I could describe it, it felt like like I had done about 1,000 sit-ups, and I had pulled a muscle across my abdomen. And I guess that was to be expected. So I said, oh, okay, well, there's the pain that I was expecting. So one thing led to another. I was in recovery a long time, rooms not available. This was 2 in the afternoon. At 9:30 at night, a room finally did become available, and I was moved upstairs. At this point, I had sipped on some water. I had taken tiny little sips just to get a feel of what this new sleeve stomach was going to feel like. About a quarter mouthful was comfortable, no problem. I couldn't feel anything internally. You couldn't feel any discomfort from the actual stomach itself. All of the discomfort was from the abdominal wall. It took about a quarter of a mouthful. Then I tried it again, and then again. And one time I got a little rambunctious, and I think I took a half a mouthful and instantly hit the wall. Found out that that was too much. Not necessarily pain too much, but basically right under the sternum, felt like I had swallowed something that didn't go down right. And it was a pretty solid sensation. Not painful, but you knew something was different, was wrong. And it tried to burp back up, but it was such a small amount of water that it never made it back up to my mouth. So a benign lesson learned about the amount that I could take in at one time. Played with sipping some more. I had a pitcher of water in front of me, little tiny 30 milliliter measuring cups, which I would fill, and that would be about 3 sips for me. Imagine a really cheap bar shot in a plastic little condiment cup. That was about 3 sips, perhaps 4 sips in each one of those. They moved me upstairs, and because the gurney was so large, they could not get me into the room, so I had to walk from the gurney to the bed. And okay, I'm kind of prepared for this. I knew at some point the day of surgery that they were going to get me up and get me walking and try to get me moving and get the CO2 gas out of the abdomen. I was pretty distended from it, not painfully so, but it was there, noticeable. So I did stand up with some assistance. Lifting my legs to swing them off the bed was pretty painful because it's all abdominal muscles. I did swing the legs off, which is quite a bit easier when you have gravity on your side. And then to sit up, I grabbed onto the nurse's hand, and she helped pull me up. So I sat there for, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And then I said, all right, let's do this. And I went to stand up. I had a person on either side of me. And that's when I felt the actual, once I extended my torso, I felt the actual, this is the first time I felt pain, let's call it, in my abdominal wall. And it felt like I had hooks stuck in the meat of my belly with 40-pound weights hanging off of it, and they were pulling down. Was it excruciating? No. Was it eyebrow raising and had me walking extremely gingerly? Yes. But I kind of expected that, so I knew that to expect this, and it was normal. I knew I wasn't going to re-hurt myself or tear anything or anything like that, so as much as I wanted to worry about something that wouldn't happen, I didn't let that kind of get to me. I did shuffle my way over. I was on the furthest bed from the doorway, so it was, of course, I had to go the extra. So I made it over to the bed, and I stood there I turned around and I kind of hovered my butt over the bed, and I stood there for about a minute, and I told them, I said, I've been laying down for 12 hours at this point, 12 and a half hours. I'm going to stand for a few minutes if that's okay. They said, sure, go ahead, stand up. And I stood there for 2-3 minutes, and I felt all of a sudden a small wave of nausea coming over. Nothing drastic, just I could feel it building. So I said, okay, I've had enough of that. I want to sit though for a few minutes. Is that okay? She said, sure, of course. I sat down on the side of the bed, and nausea wasn't going away. The abdomen was talking to me pretty loud. I said, something, I think that was enough. I think I'm going to try to get in. And she goes, okay, go ahead and swing your legs up. And just lifting the weight of my legs off the floor was enough to really aggravate that abdominal wall. And I said, I'm going to need some help getting those legs up and lower myself down. And I kind of, in my head, I counted to 3, and I gave it a go, and knowing I was going to experience, that discomfort again. And it hurt. Excruciating? No. Significantly uncomfortable? Yeah. However, once my feet were up and I kind of shimmied my way up into the bed, all pain, all discomfort again kind of disappeared. It was just the remnant pain or discomfort from the activity I had just done. Lots of, wheeling in the computer, lots of questions, lots of, what are your medications? What are this? What are that? But that's not why you are watching this video, is it? So, long story short, I went through the night. They did give me 10 milligrams of oxycodone once I got into the bed, which I had replied that I was in a pain level of 7 out of 10 at that point. A little bit of an exaggeration, but I wanted to get a good night's sleep. I wanted to not be in pain. I wanted to be comfortable. So they were willing to give it to me, and they did. It did make me feel pretty good. I was not really in any pain at that point. And through a bunch of different trials and tribulations going through the night regarding my CPAP machine, and they at first didn't want to give that to me. But through the night, I think I took some Tylenol through the night as well, about 4 a.m. after that. So, long story short, next day comes, they had a little bit of question regarding my blood work. My red blood cells from the 4 a.m. draw or 4:30 a.m. draw were a little wonky, and they wanted to retest me again at noon to make sure that there wasn't any internal bleeding or anything like that. I had originally told my ride home to be ready at noon. Anyway, they did come at about 11:30. They did draw blood. By 12:30ish, they got the results and everything was good. Called my ride. I was a little disappointed that I actually had to pack up my room. I had to get my overnight bag packed, my CPAP machine, my phone charger. I had to change into my clothes, and there was nobody in the room with me. And they had said, okay, get ready to go. I still had an IV in my hand. I still had a pole attached to me. I'm still trying to figure out how to get dressed, how to reach my feet to pull my shorts up, how to put my sandals on. So that has nothing to do with the surgery. That was just the hospital issues. But I'm just venting, I guess, at this point. But now comes the point of wheeling me down to the entrance, and my ride was waiting for me. I was able to stand with a little bit of help, one hand, to grab onto, and I was able to kind of spin around and stick my butt towards the car and let gravity take over at that point. And it was a Subaru Forester, I think I was getting into. So not too small, but nothing like my Silverado where you got plenty of leg room. But I was able to get in, felt good. Drive home was fine. Got home, was able to get out of the car, and was able to walk approximately, 30, 45 steps from the driveway to the front door and get inside and sort of get situated. And I felt good. I felt, a little bit of discomfort. I did have another 10 milligrams of oxycodone in me, which was given to me earlier in the morning. So its effect was minimal at that point, but it was still in my system. I found a good dose of, I don't have it in front of me, but I found a good product that Tylenol makes, which is 650 milligram of acetaminophen. They call it an extended release. Normally, Tylenol is a 325 milligram or 500 milligram in their extra strength. This is a 625, 675. I forget offhand, but it's a bit more of a high octane acetaminophen dosage, and these are very good. I like these a lot. Normally my go-to is I think it's an Aleve dual purpose, which has acetaminophen and ibuprofen in it. It might be acetaminophen and naproxen, but anyway, those are usually my go-to pain relievers. But this Tylenol works pretty good too. That's what I had in me at the time. And so then starts the home recovery portion of what I've been going through. So as mentioned, this is day 9 right now, and I have been drinking nothing but water and broth, chicken broth and beef broth. I haven't drank as much of that as I have of just plain water. I see a lot of mixed ideas between drinking protein shakes and staying on a clear liquid diet. There's a lot of different schools of thought. My instructions are to drink 6 ounces of protein shake at 3 different intervals throughout the day. So 2 ounces at a time at 3 different times during the day, for a total of 6 ounces of a protein shake. That was fine the first day or two, and then comes the effect of not eating. And it is an amazing feeling when you haven't eaten for 9 days at this point, but at 2 or 3 days, you're going through some very lightheadedness, you're going through some weakness. So I was drinking, I think one day I drank 3 protein shakes, which is 33 ounces I drank throughout the day, plus water, plus 32 ounces of water, which I'm not going to do again. Not that there was any ill effect by doing that, but it was certainly not in my instructions, and I don't want to cause any conflict between the instructions that I have and my own stubbornness and trying to overdo it. At this point, I am drinking 1 protein shake in the morning to get that protein and some minimal amounts of calories in. I believe it's 140 calories, maybe 160. I'd have to look at the container again. I do have some in the garbage next to me. But I find that a good compromise. It gets me 30 grams of protein, no sugar, or less than a gram of sugar. And I'm drinking at least 32 ounces of water a day, upwards to 64, and doing so about a quarter mouthful at a time. That's all that I can handle. If I try to swallow anything bigger than that, I get that big tennis ball feeling under the sternum again, and that lasts for about 5 seconds, 7 seconds, where it's pretty uncomfortable, not painful, just uncomfortable, and then it dissipates. That has kind of been my diet for 9 days. As mentioned, when I went into the hospital, I was 260 pounds. I weighed myself just before I started this video, and I was 241 pounds. So 19 pounds in 9 days, which, if I didn't have the surgery, that would certainly be an unhealthy way of doing it. But because of the fact that this is due to the surgery under doctor's instructions, I have confidence that I'll be okay. It's a little scary. I've never gone 9 days without eating. I am taking multivitamins, multiple multivitamins. I am eating solid pills. I asked my doctor about that before the surgery. He said he was okay with that. So my normal medications that I take, I've been taking, along with a multivitamin from Kirkland, just a over, I'm not going to grab the container, but it's an over 50 multivitamin. And then I have gummies. I have mature over 50 gummy multivitamins over here, plus a calcium supplement as well. Those are gummies also. The gummies are interesting. I can take one gummy at a time and I chew it up, chew it up, chew it up, and it turns into a syrup, and I swallow that. And it is like the exact amount, like that quarter mouthful that I was talking about. So I do one gummy and then I wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then I pop another one, chew it for quite a long time, and let it liquefy, and that's that. So looking forward, I am looking towards a pureed food diet coming up in, today is Wednesday, so I'm looking at approximately next Monday, where I can come off of the water diet, the clear liquid diet, and start bringing in some pureed foods, and that should be a welcome change. I've been kind of watching YouTube and learning what different people do. I'm not happy with everything I'm finding on YouTube, because a lot of people just seems like they're just not doing it right. Like, it just seems like people are just making food that I shouldn't be eating, you know. So I'm careful to watch that, because these are people that were in just as much trouble as I was with their food choices, and I don't want to learn too much and create bad habits. I did buy a bariatric cookbook with some smoothie and pureed ideas in that as well. It seems a little extravagant. Like, there's, you know, the pumpkin cinnamon squash soup sorbet, this, that. I mean, there's some really, it's great if you want to get really kind of fancy with your puree. I don't need fancy. You know, I need to figure out how to cook a scrambled egg and turn it into a smoothie. You know, I don't know if that's with Greek yogurt or ricotta and some skim milk. But that's kind of the way I'm thinking. I want to stick with the raws, the basics, I shouldn't say raw because I can't do that, but I want to eat the foods that will benefit me the most and create the right habits for me and the right foods that I need to eat in the future. So when I'm not on a pureed diet and I'm eating normal foods, I can make the right selections, as opposed to seeing the people who take a can of Campbell's soup and they put it in a blender and they call that, nothing's wrong with, I shouldn't say Campbell's soup either. It's kind of like progressive soup what they're doing. They're doing like the street corn, blackened chicken, fried bean, you know, surprise soup, and it's all sodium and stuff like that. So that's why I suggest not looking at YouTube as a primary source of information. But anyway, that's what I've experienced so far. Oh, I should explain the pain I'm in now. I'm able to get up, move around, do everything I need to do. I actually did a photo shoot last night, a corporate photo shoot for 3 or 4 hours. I was fine. I did have some weakness from obviously no calories coming in. I sipped on a bottle of water. I made it through. You know, I wasn't my old self. I wasn't full of energy, and but my old self was also, you know, 305 pounds. So my 241 pound self yesterday was just fine. Could I feel my abdominal wall? Yeah, I could feel it. At no point was I uncomfortable. It's just at this point, it's just a constant sort of nuisance that's there. You know, I don't want to lift anything too heavy. I don't want to bend over to the floor and pick up anything heavy. But as far as standing up, getting around, moving around, there's no issues. At no point was I ever really in any significant agony pain. From the surgeries I've had so far, hernia and hip replacement, this is by far the least painful, which is good. It's not a walk in the park, but it's certainly doable. It's nothing to be scared of. So I plan to update this as well as make additional videos as time progresses, as my diet changes. Chances are that's what I'm going to do, is I'll make a video once my diet has switched over to stage 2, and that will be the puree and smooth food diet portion of that, and I'm really looking forward to that. I can't wait to have something to eat, no matter, even if it is small. I'm really looking forward to something other than water, and to get a little bit of energy. I should mention one thing that my doctor did allow in lieu of coffee is 5-hour energies. These guys have a heck of a lot of caffeine in them. They're good. They're like a big 16-ounce Dunkin' coffee. These also have 20,833% of your vitamin B12 in it, which helps convert your food to energies. Not that I'm taking in any food, but it's got an insane amount of B12. It's got B6 in it at 2,000% and niacin at 250%. So I did ask him about these. He was fine with them. Your doctor may say otherwise, but instead of having to drink coffee and sip on it for 4 hours, 5 hours in order to get 1 cup of coffee in, I can take one of these in 2 mouthfuls and I'm good to go. Anyway, I will update this as the diet progresses, as healing progresses, and as weight loss continues. So good luck to you all, and feel free to leave a comment if you want to ask me any questions. I'll look through them. I'll be happy to answer them, and maybe we can enjoy this weight loss journey together. Okay? Take care.